Hi, I'm Mike. Today, I want to talk to you about stocks. I want to show you the difference today between a store-bought stock and a homemade stock. Why don't you take a look for yourself? It smells like tomato juice. It looks like the urine of a person who hasn't drinking water in about 2 weeks. This is what a vegetable stock should look like. Sweet. You can taste the carrots, the onions, the fennel, the leeks. You can taste all of that. It's identifiable, it's fresh. Do I want that in my food? I don't want that in my house. That's disgusting. So let's get cooking. Yeah. Chicken stock. Very easy to make at home. All you need are chicken bones and vegetables. Now you don't have to go out to the store or find a specialty butcher just to get you fancy chicken bones. All you need is a packet of these inexpensive chicken wings. They're mostly bone and there's just the right amount of meat on there to flavor the stock. When you're making stock, you want to use bones because what's in the bones is collagen. See, in here in chicken wings, we have mostly bone. And through the stock making process, we're gonna pull out that collagen in the bones, and that's what's gonna turn into gelatin. And that's what's going to really create the body of the stock. That's what's going to thicken your sauces. It's what's going to create the depth in your braises. So when it comes to us cutting up our mirepoix, and that's our vegetable garnish, we don't want too much flavor coming out of them. We still want this to be a chicken-based stock. So cut your vegetables into about 1 inch thick. We're gonna be putting these in about after it's come to a simmer. We only want a certain amount of flavor extraction from these. Cut these a little bit smaller. When it comes to your leeks, make sure that you clean them. Remember, about 1 inch thick. Don't be afraid to use what you like. Define it to your own flavor palette. I like to use carrots, leeks, and onions. A lot of people who make stock will tell you to use the basic, really basic French mirepoix, which is carrots, celery, and onion. I don't like to use celery in my stock. I find that celery is too obtrusive. I think that you taste more celery than you do anything else. Leeks are sweeter, and they provide a more balanced oniony flavor. When it comes to cutting an onion, for this purpose, we'll just cut the root off and cut it into a basic dice. You can also use mushrooms if you wanted that depth of flavor. I've heard of people using white wine. When it comes to other aromatics, I like to use garlic and herbs such as bay leaf, thyme, and parsley. If you wanted a spicier note, don't be afraid to add peppercorns. We'll just have this down the center. All right, so we're ready to make the stock. Get the biggest stock pot you can find. We're gonna save these vegetables because we're not gonna put them in right away. We're gonna save them for a little bit later. There we go. And put in a few herbs. There we go. So now we're gonna put this on a burner on a relatively low heat. We're gonna pour in our 4 quarts of water. Should be just enough to cover. We're using a lower heat because we don't want this to rise in temperature too fast. We want to slowly leach out the impurities. Shocking the chicken bones at this point would just make the stock cloudy. Get a ladle and a bowl and wait for this to come up in temperature. You'll see the impurities come to the top. After we put in the ice and the temperature rises, we'll add the vegetables in and we'll simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour at most. This is a pretty low maintenance stock. So now that we've added our ice, our impurities have solidified on top. We've added about 2 quarts of ice. So in total, we have about 6 quarts of water for our stock base. And that will reduce down. We'll probably get a yield of about 3 to 4 quarts out of this. At this point, we can add our vegetables. Just add them in. Be careful not to splash yourself. This is what's going to be our background flavor. The carrots will bring some nice color to the stock, as well as the leeks and the parsley. And just give it a final skim before it comes up to a simmer again. And we'll simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour, skimming through that entire process. But you'll see there will be a lot less impurities than there were before, but we'll constantly be skimming. Oh, wow. So, when you're done, you should have a big bowl that looks like that. So this has been simmering for about 45 minutes to an hour. So now we'll just take this off the heat, let this rest for a few minutes, and we'll let any other solids or impurities fall to the bottom. Since we allowed this to sit, here we go. I'm gonna move it over here. We have a fine mesh strainer, also known as a chinois in French. And I have a little bucket right here. You could use anything that will do the job, that will hold the liquid. All right, so now we're not going to pour this into the strainer because there are solids that have rested on the bottom that we don't want to stay in there. So we're just gonna ladle it one at a time. And this is unfortunately going to yield us a smaller yield than we would have liked, but we want to keep this stock as pure as possible. I'm going to now switch to a larger ladle. There we go. See this? And what we're going to do now, by doing this, we're allowing the stock to cool more rapidly. Here we go. We should get about 2 to 3 quarts out of this. Now, when you're ladling it into the strainer, you don't want to press down on those solids. We don't want this stock to become cloudy. So just let it strain through. So once you have your stock strained, move that off. And it's really important to store your stock as soon as possible. This is at a temperature right now where bacteria will start to grow at a rapid rate. So you really want to cool it down as fast as you can. And it is not effective to just put this into the refrigerator. The steam will probably heat everything up, and it'll probably be a few hours before this even got chilled down at all. So it is best to pour it off into individual containers. Stock will keep for about 3 days refrigerated, but it'll keep couple months as long as it's frozen. An easy way to do that is to use an ice cube tray. You have here, there's about a tablespoon capacity in this for each ice cube. You can freeze these and then unmold these out when you want to add stock to a quick sauce. Cover, and you can pop this right in the freezer. Those will freeze quickly. Now when it comes to storing in larger quantities, I recommend these soup containers that you get at your Chinese restaurant. They let you keep them, and they're dishwasher safe, they're microwave safe. They're great for storing stock. Just fill these up. And what I have over here is an ice bath. This is important when storing stock, or if you want to cool anything really quickly. Just put it in, make sure that it doesn't go down too far, and just stir it. It'll take a little while to do this, but it's really important to chill your stock down like this. So there you go. Once it's cooled down, it's really important to pop a lid on it and store it away. If you're freezing it, it'd be a really good idea to lay a piece of tape on top and label it, date it, so that you know how old it is. So stay tuned for the next episode. I'll be teaching you how to make vegetable stock. Yep, that's right, vegetable stock. None of that gross red tomato-y boxed urine water. From my kitchen to yours, stay cooking. And feel free to hit the subscribe button or the like button if you're feeling frisky or rambunctious. Thanks, America.